All right,
Got it.
friends. As prefaced on episode 71 of the Spicer Speaking podcast, great guest that we've got this week, a gentleman that I first had opportunity to meet and write about over a decade ago. Not that I can quite believe that. He is a five-time boxing world champion across two different divisions. Along the way, compiling a 33-2-1 record. He beat Pacquiao, he beat Marquez, he beat Ruslan Pobodnikov in the 2013 Fight of the Year. He's the Desert Storm, and earlier this month it was announced deservedly that come June he'll be inducted into the International Boxing Hall of Fame. Welcome the great Timothy Ray Bradley Jr., the Spicer Speaking podcast. Tim, happy holiday and big congratulations on the announcement of the Hall of Fame, man.
Spicer, fantastic intro. You already know, man. I appreciate you. Thank you very much. Happy holidays to you. Merry Christmas, whatever it is you celebrate, man. But thank you for having me on the show.
I appreciate it, man. It has been a little
Yeah,
while, I think, since the radio days, since
yeah.
we talked. Well, let's not bury the headline here, man. I mean, the announcement of the Hall of Fame. It's one that I felt for you was eventually going to come. It was going to come
Yeah.
sooner or later. Were you ever sweating that that announcement was going to come?
Hell yeah. Every single year, man. But it's just the panel has been tremendous. I mean, we've had a ton of legends, that come before me, and it just happens. It just so happened that I was just in the mix with a ton of people that have been in the sport a lot longer than I have, that accumulated accolades over the years, and that I respect and that I've been following. A lot of my childhood, someone's heroes were guys on the panel. So I respect it. I knew sooner or later I was going to get a shot, and this 2023 was the year, man.
I've heard you discussing your work on ESPN, calling fights and Top Rank
Yeah.
Boxing about how you heard the news, how the news was broken to you earlier this month. I'd be thrilled if you could reshare that story on this show.
Well, it's crazy because my wife had gotten a flat tire. She was in the middle of nowhere, pretty much. I had to locate her. So, I checked the Tesla app. Of course, I was able to find her location. I got to her. I told her, "Hey, you gotta get home. You gotta get, where you need to go. You got business to take care of. Take my truck. I'll sit here and I'll wait on the tow truck." And she takes off in my truck, and I'm looking forward, and I'm like, "What are you doing?" She like immediately pulls off to the right, after probably going 100 feet or so. And she turns around, and I'm like, "What's going on? Did she forget something?" So I immediately started calling her, and she didn't answer, of course. And she kind of went off to the side, parked the truck in the opposite direction, toward the facing traffic, pretty much, put it that way. She came over and she was like, "Hey, the phone's for you." And I was like, "Well, who is it? Tell him I'm busy. Like, what's going on?" She was like, "No, here's the phone." So I pick up the phone, and the gentleman says, and I think his name's Ed. Don't kill me if I'm wrong. He goes, "Is this Timothy Bradley?" And I go, "Yes." And he goes, "This is the International Boxing Hall of Fame." And that when he said that, I broke down one knee. I'm on the side of the road. I'm in the dirt basically. My wife starts crying. I start crying. It was so much emotion went through my body, man. It was like a big, huge relief. I just felt like it was a long time coming, man. Like, going through everything that I went through in my entire career, from, the fights itself, the training, the sacrifice, literally surrendering to the sport, man, and suffering, at times. You know, it's finally been healed. I feel like I'm finally going to be healed by, becoming a Hall of Famer, man. That makes it all worth it, because like it don't matter, like you can win championships and you can make millions of dollars, Oh, that's fantastic. Take care of your family, whatnot. But like one, once it's all said and done, okay, the championships are there, but there's a lot of guys winning championships. Okay, the money may be there, and maybe it won't be there. Maybe it may run out. But my name being basically lifted into the boxing Hall of Fame, so like anybody that goes up to Canastota, you know, they see Tim Bradley, they see what I've accomplished. They know that, hey, I was somebody in this world, when it's all said and done, I was somebody great at his craft, one of the best at his craft, and I'm there with all the legends, man. It's the greatest feeling. It's what I wanted, and I call it the hospital. It's the hospital, man. It's how I get repaid, basically, and repaired. So excited about it. Love the fact that I'm in it, man, and I just can't wait to experience that week of celebration.
It's something that can't be gifted. It's something you can't buy. It's something they can never take away from you,
There
Tim.
you go.
You got some time until June 11th in that induction. Have you thought about yet what you might say?
No, I think, but I can tell you this: I think about it every single day, and like I'll start like writing, and then I'm like, scratch that. No, that's not good enough, And then I'll go back to it, and then I'm researching. I'm always trying to. I always got to be prepared, man. And so I'm researching, and I'm looking at different guys' speeches, and I'm like, okay, all right, I gotta thank this person, thank that. So I'm putting a list together of people that I need to thank. That's the first thing I'm doing right now is putting together a list of all the people that I need to thank because I don't want to forget anybody. You hear all the time somebody says, "Well, you forgot
Right.
me, you forgot this." I don't want that. So I don't know what I want to say just yet, but I'm preparing. I got some time, man.
You got some time. You got about
Yeah.
6 months. I know that for some halls of fame, for respective induction ceremonies, someone introduces you. Is that the case with the International Boxing Hall of Fame? Will someone
Yeah.
kind of bring you in?
Yeah,
Okay.
it's gonna be I believe it's Smitty. Smitty, yeah, Smitty. He's a guy that's been around the sport for a very long time, highly respected in the sport. He normally he's the host of the Hall of Fame. He does it every single year. So yeah, he will be probably announcing me.
Okay,
Yeah.
but it's not like someone you get to choose personally, like your dad or your
No,
wife or trainer.
no,
Okay.
no, I don't think so. I don't think
Okay.
so. I really don't know. To be honest with you, I really don't know. But I think since Smitty being the host, I think that he probably would announce me.
Okay. That is the future. Let's go back in time a little bit, man. I mean, again, it's been over 10 years since we did that article, and you allowed me to do that article, that cover story for Palm Springs Life, preceding your first bout and victory over Pacquiao. I was in my 30s, you were still in your 20s. It's been a while,
Yeah,
man, but that story for a few different reasons and that opportunity you gave me to follow your path of training and preparation for that fight. I mean, you gave me access upwards of 5 or maybe 6 times to talk to you in the months preceding. It was incredible access. And what really sticks with me, what I really remember about that is that maybe, I don't know, we started 4 or 5 months before the fight, something like that. And I remember being at Palm Springs High School and you were starting your training and starting to get
mm,
serious about it, um, doing some running, but we were kind of joking around. I was joking around with your dad, and it was kind of a playful atmosphere. But then over the course of those subsequent interviews, as the fight got closer, you got more serious and you got
yep,
more intense. And the last interview we did, in total contrast with the first one, I mean, you were like a different guy. And I
yep,
went back and I listened to those interviews. And I'm like, I'm talking to a different guy. Like you had, it was a metamorphosis from fun loving Tim, getting into the training to a guy that was so intense, that was so focused, that was so ready. I felt like I was talking with two different people, man. I guess my question in there is that the guy I'm talking to now is the fun, smiley Tim.
yeah.
What happens to the intense Tim?
Oh man, you're talking to the couch potato Tim right now, man. When he's enjoying life, that's what you're talking to, man. But when I'm deep in training, man, you got to understand, it's so much pressure. It's so much pressure on you. You're constantly thinking about the fight. You know, as soon as it's announced, as soon as you know, um, a lot of sleepless nights. You don't really sleep, you rest. You know, you close your eyes. You've probably had maybe 1,000 battles before you actually step foot in that ring. So that does something to your psyche. All the hard training you put in, all the time, all the sacrifice you put in. You know, being away from your family. I can remember being at home. I was one of those guys that stayed at home, but I really wasn't home. I was just I was just walking around pretty much just thinking about the fight constantly in my head. But that comes with the pressure.
Yeah.
That comes along with it. You know, the want to win, that determination, that just, you know, Kobe used to have it, you know, that Mamba type of mentality, man. And that's what I had. I felt that I had that Mamba type, you know, win at all costs, by all costs. This was my moment, my defining moment. I need to take full advantage of this. So, you know, that's it. That's the seriousness that come with the sport, man. You know,
Once you retire and are no longer in that environment, in the ring, in that cauldron, what about that part of
mhm.
yourself, Tim? I mean, does that part of yourself, is it put to rest, or somewhere inside Tim Bradley is that fire and that vigor? Is it still very much a part of you?
It's still a part of me. It's but it's used differently. It's more like, for me, it's more like try to be the best father I can possibly be for my kids. I still use that type of, you know, determination to continue to provide, you know, for my family. You know, continue to strive towards, you know, excellence in the craft that I'm in now. I channel a lot of that energy, even though I have a lot of fun with it. I channel a lot of it into the broadcast. You know, I work so much. Like, I work when I don't have to work. Constantly watching boxing, constantly learning different aspects about the boxing. I'm constantly, you know, researching commentary from different sports, just trying to better myself in my craft. And I think over the course of 4 years, I've it was a major improvement, man. When I first started out, I was, you know, we call it shell shock, or you know, gun shy. You know, it was really hard to really get used to that red light that comes on,
Yeah.
being on camera, man. And I had to get comfortable, and you know, I had to go through a lot of reps, a ton of reps, to get to where I'm at today. So it's still in there, man. I have to bring it out. I don't know if you know this, but I got 6 months. I have to lose 60 pounds in 6 months, man.
What do you mean you have to?
Well, this is the thing. I want to sacrifice, and I want to feel, because, you know, the hardest, see, you got to understand this. The hardest thing about boxing isn't the fight itself. The hardest thing about boxing is actually the sacrifice and all the training that you have to do to get prepared for the fight, and the weight loss. The weight loss is like, because look, you're tearing your body down to perform. Whereas other sports, they're building their body up. We're tearing it down, and then we're performing. So for this, what I want to do for this induction, I want to come in, or come as close as I possibly can, to 147 pounds for the last time. I want to sacrifice for the next 6 months. You know, not eating those happy meals, not going. I want to sacrifice, man, and see if I can just turn it on again one last time. Turn it on, get in shape, boxing training, running, cardio, you name it, doing it all, weight training to get down to 147 pounds.
What about the well-documented vegan diet that you kept for a long time that
That,
basically had you looking like a fake action figure? I mean, your abs, it was like a 15 pack, your abs at that time.
yeah. Well, just know this. I'm gonna attempt to get in that type of shape for the one last time, walk across that stage, and I want to literally step on that scale and be 147 pounds for the last time. and just go through that suffering one last time, man, and say, this is it. This is the icing on the cake right here. Thank you, America. Thank you all, everyone that voted for me, and just feel it, and just feel that type of pressure one more time, man. So
It must be so tempting is perhaps a good word to use, but you see a lot of boxers in retirement after all those years of discipline, after all those years of making weight, that dudes, you finally get to eat like whatever you
yeah.
want, whenever you want. I mean, the temptation to do that must be pretty great upon retirement. For you, you retired in 2017. Was that the case for you?
Oh hell yeah. Oh hell yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, 3 years ago, I would say 3 years ago, I was, really taking care of myself and really, eating right and living the life. And then sooner or later, everybody, like I'm telling you, everybody has that couch potato in me, man. And it overcame. I mean, it took over my body. So now I'm like, let me enjoy life a little bit. Let me get off that, let me get off that system that I was been on for many years, being disciplined and fighters. I'm gonna tell you, fighters, man, we love food, man. We absolutely love food. That's why you see all these guys when it's all said and done, man, they're big as hell, 60, 70 pounds overweight. They're living the life because we've had to sacrifice. I had to sacrifice and lose weight since I was 10 years old.
Right.
Think about it. Since I was 10 years old, losing weight, man, trying to stay a certain weight class. It was difficult, man. So now I don't want to think about that. So
Let me ask you this, Tim. You said that for your work as an ESPN
yeah,
analyst, that you watch a lot of fights, you study a lot of fights. Do you ever go back and watch your own fights?
yeah. I do go back and watch my own fights, and I can say, "Damn, I was terrible."
You're critical.
Yeah,
No,
because I mean that's me. I'm Mr. Critical, man. That's my niche. I'm critical with the fighters. And the reason why I'm critical is because this is a dangerous sport, man. And that's the way I was raised. I was raised with my father being extremely critical with me, telling me the truth. It's good to hear the good, but it's also, I think it's better and more nourishing for you if you actually hear the truth, and someone that's done it. So yeah, I'm critical with myself watching my film. I say, man, like, okay, I was a gutsy fighter, but man, damn it, my technique was terrible. I
That's,
had terrible technique, man. So yeah, I do watch my films, and I critique myself. I'm pretty critical of myself, man.
I'll say I've gone back to watch Bradley Pacquiao one is a fight that I've gone back to watch on YouTube upwards of 8, 10, 12 times. I feel like every time I go back to watch that, I see something a little different and I get a greater understanding of really what Tim in that fight was your tactical brilliance. And anyone that hasn't watched that fight multiple times is missing out on some nuance of your performance there. I will also add that I've tried to go back to watch your fight against Ruslan Provodnikov. Again, that was the 2013 fight of the year. And I can't do it, man, because I got to know you as a person and as a husband and a father. And that
Yeah.
fight is so damn violent. It is so violent, man, that it's difficult to watch not the beating that you gave him in that victory, but the beating that was all the way around, man. It's an extremely violent fight. Do you ever go back to watch that one?
Yeah, I do. I go back and I watch a lot of my fights. Marquez, just one of my favorite fights that I enjoy watching. I thought tactically, I was, like you said, I was brilliant in that fight. I do go back and I watch Manny for the Manny first fight. I watched that fight, and again, tactically, man, I thought, I thought that's where my strength was that I can read these guys, and I knew how to come up with a game plan to beat these guys. And I lacked in the punching power area. So I had to be tactically sound, and I had to be in great conditioning in order to compete with these guys. But to answer your question, yeah, I do go back and I do watch these fights. Ruslan Bafatnikov was I would say mentally I was just I wasn't I wasn't what I was supposed to be mentally.
Oh,
You have to understand, after suffering depression and going through what I went through after the first Pacquiao fight, and literally like thinking like, taking my own life and just, ending it once and for all because I felt like the entire world was against me. That was difficult, man. That was a difficult time in my life in 2012. I remember my kids having to go through just being the laughing stock at the schools, because, once somebody says, look, when the majority says that you didn't win the fight, man, it's just, no one really can just stand up and be a leader and say, you know what, I watched the fight and I thought he won. I know there was a lot of guys that were in the industry that try to stand up for me, and they said that I won that fight, and they were okay with the backlash that came along with that. But my kids didn't deserve to be, laughed at. My kids didn't deserve to be, fingers pointed at them. They didn't deserve that, man, at all. And having to go through that, dude, it was a rough time and a rough patch in my life with my family.
and I guess in regard to the result and some of the backlash, that's why I impress upon people, you need to watch that, not just when you watched it live, having a couple beers and you're turning away, you go to get a snack. You need to watch that fight many times over because again, I personally know that there are things that I missed in the first even two or three or four watchings of how tactically sound
Yeah.
you were in that fight. You would not observe that from a single viewing. When you really watch it close and you watch it in its entirety, you know why he deservedly won that fight.
I
Um,
do.
Friends, you're tuning into episode 71 of the Spicer Speaking podcast. Five-time world champion across two divisions, the Desert Storm, ESPN boxing analyst Timothy Bradley Jr. is my guest again this summer coming up June 11th, Canastota, New York, be deservedly inducted into the International Boxing Hall of Fame. Couple more for you today, Tim. Um, we've we've kind of entered a new what can be looked at as a golden era of sport here in the desert, and your induction into the Boxing Hall of Fame, the International Boxing Hall of Fame, feeds into the timing perfectly. I mean, our golf tournament, our PGA Tour event that's coming around in a few weeks, has a spectacular field. They've kind of regrown that tournament with some of the concerts. We've got a new PGA Tour Champions event that will appear this spring and debut for the first time. We've got there's a couple. I mean, the BNP Paribas, the tennis continues to grow as an international event, and we've got a brand new, fancy, beautiful Acrisure Arena with our new
Yeah.
own professional sports franchise and hockey team, the Coachella Valley Firebirds. I mean, you're from here. I've been here, about a dozen years, but you grew up here. Did you ever think that this would grow into the sporting nexus that the desert has now become?
No, not at all. I know that boxing was one of the things that was kind of embedded, years ago with the Diaz brothers. You had Mongoose, the Mongooses, Quinones, Steve Quinones, so on and so forth. And I know that I remember when in the 90s, you had a lot of athletes to come down to get away from their home to come down and train in the valley. Riddick Bowe would come down, he would train. I've seen him train live in the gym. You had who else? Michael Moore would come down, he would
Yeah.
train. And they would have boxing events at the Riviera. But as far as like, golfing tournaments and, having a sports arena and all that, I could never imagine having that in the desert, man. But the desert continues to grow and to produce, I would say, top athletes, man. And people want to come to the desert, man. I don't know what it is. Maybe it's the mountains. I don't know, something in the water out there. But man, I'm telling you, I've been hearing more and more about athletes that make it into the big leagues that come from the desert, man, and it's a great feeling. It's definitely a great feeling, and I feel like um, me being there and me being a part of it and me growing in as it's a desert, I feel like, I think I was part of that motivation for those athletes. A lot of those athletes that come from the desert, man, and want to become, you know, somebody in the sports world. So
Acrisure Arena, obviously mentioned, it's the home of the Firebirds. It's going to have a lot of concerts there, but they're also bringing in other events, bull riding, the Globetrotters. That stuff's on the calendar now. Haven't seen it for the first time for the Firebirds debut. It is a very intimate setting, Tim. Pardon me, and it would be a spectacular setting for title boxing. I don't know if you
really.
I think so. Yeah. I mean, I remember you fought at Agua, did the
Hmm.
show at Agua at least once, maybe a couple times. And that was a good setting for boxing in some respects, I thought. But this is obviously, it's an arena driven toward spectatorship and fandom and viewership. And I could just see this being a place where we should deservedly host some very, very high level boxing at Acrisure. I don't know if that's something you thought about or you think would be a cool idea. Once you check out the arena, I hope you'll agree.
Yeah, I think I would have to do a little bit more research on it. But I think boxing in the desert, it just depends on what month
Oh,
you're going to be having boxing. I
yeah.
think I think when the snowbirds come in and the town gets packed like it is. I know immediately when everybody's in because it usually takes me 20 minutes to get to Palm Springs from Ranch Mirage, and when it starts taking 45 minutes to an hour, I'm like, okay, the town is packed, everybody's back. You know, and if they can have a boxing event around that time, then I think yeah, I think we can do a big boxing show there, a championship fight there because boxing, like I said, boxing has been around a long time in the valley, and we have some new ones. We have some new guys. Have you heard of the new guys? Brandon Lee,
Yeah.
and we have the other one, the Towering Inferno, out there in the desert. He's doing his thing. Have you seen him? The 6'7".
No,
Uh,
just Brandon
you
Lee.
haven't?
I don't know
What?
the Inferno. No.
You don't? What? You have to check him out. He is something else. Man, he is. What is his name? His name is Fundora. His name
Okay.
is Fundora. You have to look this guy up. He's six
Okay.
foot seven, 154 pounds.
Whoa.
He's right in the mix to face Charlo, who is the champion, who's going to be facing, I believe, Timzu, Kasazu's son from Australia.
Okay.
And once they fight, who the winner will face Fundora, and he's from the Valley.
Okay. 6'7",
Yeah,
and did you say 154 pounds?
154
What?
pounds, 6'7".
So he's a foot
Yes.
taller than me, and he and I weigh the same. That
And
seems
you, yeah, exactly. Exactly. He's a cheat code, man. He is definitely a cheat code in boxing. Long reach. He's tall. He got punching power. The guy can fight in the inside. He's something else, man. He's something to watch.
one more for you, Tim. I've already established before we got this microphone cooking that you will not be receiving, you don't have interest in receiving a new set of golf clubs for
No, no.
Christmas.
Christmas.
Not in your wheelhouse yet, but something else perhaps that you asked for Christmas. I know there's a lot of kids in the household. You got to take care of Monica, but something for you, maybe.
Look, man, I just want everybody to be happy.
Yeah.
I think everybody's happiness is just what makes me happy. As far as gifts goes, man, I've look, man, I have everything I need. It, it doesn't matter whatever they want to give me. It doesn't. I mean, I'm thankful for it, but for me, it's just I just want to see everybody happy, healthy, smiling, and have a full stomach on Christmas Day, and I'm happy and content with that, man.
Well,
That's my gift.
maybe there's your Hall of Fame speech right there.
Yeah.
You can, yeah.
But I can tell you, let me tell you one thing, man. I'll tell you the gift that I think that every man should have. I'm not gonna lie, man, and I think it's the best creation known to mankind. I my wife bought me a blower, like one of those blowers outside, leaf blowers,
Sure.
and I have this high power one. I'm not gonna lie, dude. It is the funnest freaking. I'm telling you, it is the funnest tool I've ever used. Ever. Like I can go outside and blow leaves for hours. Hours. It is the coolest thing, man. So if you want to get your husband something and he can be productive outside, buy him a nice fancy blower. Electric is best. Electric blower.
I call that noise the soundtrack of the desert. You can't go a block without hearing that thing, man.
No, because it's fun. I'm telling you, it is so freaking fun. I can literally go outside and just blow leaves because I have pine needles out here. So I blow those things, man. I blow the whole sidewalk. I go up down the street. I blow the neighbors' stuff. I mean, it's just it's so much fun, man. So if you were looking for a gift for your husband, ladies out there, if you're listening, buy him one of those nice blowers.
Great gift suggestion and a great time chatting with, again, five-time world champion across two
Yeah.
divisions, the Desert Storm himself. This summer, June 11th, Canastota, New York, he will be deservedly inducted into the International Boxing Hall of Fame. Tim, so great to revisit with you, man. Appreciate your
Yeah.
time. All the best to you and your crew in the holidays, man. And a
Hey,
very
appreciate
happy,
you.
thank you, man. Very happy close to the year, and look forward to a great 23, man. I look forward to chatting with you again soon.
Thank you. Appreciate you, man. Thank you very much.